You might not know it yet, but your car is the reason why you are struggling financially. Yup, that shiny vehicle sitting in your driveway, the one that you have worked so hard to be able to afford, is actually secretly draining you financially. But don't get hard on yourself because it's not your fault. Rather, it's the car companies that are spending billions upon billions of dollars every single year, marketing to us, our friends, our family, that we need bigger, better, faster cars year over year over year. They market them to us as these symbols of pride and success. But the fact of the matter is, getting new cars constantly is the single biggest wealth killer that you have. But all hope is not lost, because thankfully that's why you follow me, John, for all of the daily finance tips. In today's video, I'm gonna go over the numbers for you as to why a car is such a financial anchor that's keeping you and dragging you behind financially. But more importantly, I'm gonna give you some actionable tips so that you can actually start freeing yourself and getting ahead financially. If that sounds like a plan, pop a squat, tap that thumb icon, and let's get into today's video. Section 1. Let's zoom back and take a look at the big picture to understand why cars are such wealth killers. As of today, 107 million Americans have car loans, with total auto loan debt reaching a staggering $1.58 trillion. Okay, sure, people having auto loans, not that surprising. Auto loans being expensive, not that surprising. But what should absolutely blow you away is the fact that the average new car auto loan is coming in at over $717 a month, with plenty that are over $1,000 a month. And the real kicker to all of this is, even though you're paying so much every single month, cars lose value faster than pretty much anything else you can buy. The minute that you drive that new car off the lot, 10 to 15% of value, poof, gone. Over a 5-year holding period, you can expect to lose, depending on the type of car, sometimes up to 60% of the car's value. Let's think about that for a second. You buy a brand new car, $40,000. You get a loan, you gotta pay interest on the loan, and over the course of 5 years, the value of that car goes this way, but you still continue paying interest on a loan balance as if the car was worth this much. And that is very counter to how we could think of at home. For most people, when you buy real estate, you're gonna get a loan, you're gonna pay interest, but for the most part, you would expect that your home is gonna go up in value over time, not the other way around. I would be okay with you buy it over 5 years, but you're gonna run that sucker to the ground. But that's absolutely not the case. Because according to some of the data I saw online, Americans on average change cars every 5 to 6 years. So pretty much as soon as you're getting down to that last bit of a loan payment, you start over again. I mean, it's absolutely crazy to me that we are just constantly in this cycle of buying a depreciating asset. And speaking of depreciating asset, let's go into the next section where we'll talk about the total cost of ownership that considers depreciation as well. Because your wealth isn't lost simply because you bought a car valued at X and you sold it when it was valued at Y. There's a lot of other things to consider as well. Other than depreciation, you also want to consider fuel costs, your maintenance and repairs, insurance, which, by the way, last year, the biggest driver of inflation was from the increase of car insurance premiums. Literally, car insurance companies just saying, hey, we're just gonna charge you more money. That's absolutely crazy. In the later section, I'll tell you some pointers on how you can bring down the overall cost. But with car insurance, let me just say this. The most important thing you can do every 6 to 12 months when the policy renews, go ahead and comparison shop to see what else is out there. Because very frequently, they're gonna offer a new customer, someone who's changed, lower rates. I don't know why, but that's just what it is. But if you stick around, they say, hey, you know what? John's been with us for 5 years. He's not going anywhere. Jack up his rates. He's not gonna care. So go ahead and make sure you're comparison shopping. Whether you get better rates or not, at least you know what the fair market value rate should be. And if you're interested, I actually have top offers for car insurance in the description box down below. Go ahead, check it out. If you have any comments, questions, drop it down there as well. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. And the last pillar we're gonna consider in our total cost of ownership, taxes and other miscellaneous fees. Let's use an example car to really understand total cost of ownership and what kind of drag it has. Let's say you just got a big promotion, you want to get your big boy or big girl car because you think that's going to signal some success. Okay, let's say you want to get a brand new BMW 3 Series, right? And these cars range, it looks like anywhere from $45,000 to $60,000. But you're gonna be smart. You'll put 20% down, get a loan for the rest, and you're off to the races. But of course, though, we have to consider all those other things we just mentioned. Your depreciation, your fuel cost, your maintenance and repairs, your insurance, and of course, any taxes and fees. So taking a look at this bar chart next to me, over 5 years, the total cost of ownership of this car is a little over $62,000. Or in other words, you can think of it as costing you $12,500 a year to operate. And I know what you're thinking. Psh, that's a BMW. Everyone knows that that's gonna have a high cost of ownership. Sure, let's look at something a little bit more economical. How about a Honda Civic? Over 5 years, the total cost of ownership is certainly lower, coming in at a little over $38,000, which is about $7,600 a year. However, that is still 12% of the median US salary. And the same thing as the BMW, depreciation coming in at 30% of the overall cost is one of the biggest factors. Second to that is the insurance. And I want to double click into depreciation and really address it. Because that, I believe, even though the car is the silent killer that's sitting there, within the actual car, the biggest killer is the depreciation. Because depreciation isn't something you realize until you take some sort of action. And let's be clear about something. Your car is not an asset. It's a liability. I know, people are out there, oh, but what about my one-off collectible? Okay, I'll give you that. Your one-off, rare, ultra-rare collectible, sure, you can call it an appreciating asset. But for Buddy out there who's driving his Mustang or whoever is driving their Audi A4 stock, it's a liability. In fact, you could say the Mustang is a massive liability. And the issue with liabilities, as we know, is they lose value over time. But like I said earlier, what makes this liability particularly dangerous, you don't see that loss in value. It's not like the stock market just lost 20% and your portfolio's in the red. Instead, you're just driving around every day, just, oh, here we go, off on my way on my massively depreciating liability, and you're not gonna see it until you go ahead and sell it. And some people still might not register it. They're just like, oh, well, obviously it's a used thing, so therefore it's worth less. Folks, when it comes to thinking about assets, that's not a normal thing. I don't think if I buy my house today that in 10, 20, 30 years, it should be worth less. No, I expect it should be up. Cars, on the other hand, down. As an example, let me show you a chart here from CarEdge that looks at the depreciation of a Camaro. So year one, it's valued at 100%. So at year zero, right before you purchased it, this car is depreciated 0%, so it's got the full value in there, just shy of $45,000. Fast forward 1 year, it's depreciated a little over 20%. The value is just around $34,000. Fast forward 5 years later, the depreciation is nearly 50%. The car is worth at best just a little shy of $23,000. And now think for a moment, if I came to you with an investment opportunity, I said, hey, listen, kid, give me 50 grand, in 5 years, I'll give you back $25,000. You look at me like I'm an idiot. Why would anyone do that? And then you probably ask me, okay, well, surely after 5 years it goes up, right? I go, no. In 10 years, I would only give you back $10,000. That's a horrible investment. That is an absolutely horrible investment. Not appreciating, it's depreciating and losing value. And the worst part is, you're gonna go through that depreciation in 5 years, and society's gonna tell you you probably need to upgrade, and you start the cycle over again. And then you do it over again, and over and over and over and over again. So in my eyes, buying a new car, just constantly buying brand new cars, is the equivalent to just lighting money on fire. And if you want to do that, well, hey, let me drop my Venmo and PayPal down. I'm kidding. But seriously, that's essentially what it is. When you're constantly just throwing money at this thing that is constantly losing value. And as much as it sucks to go from buying something worth $45,000 only to be able to sell it for $10,000, there's also a massive opportunity cost to constantly having an auto loan. I said earlier, the average new car loan is about $717 a month. Well, there's an opportunity cost because if you're spending $717 a month on something, that means there's $717 not being spent on other things. And the other thing could be potentially investing into the general stock market. You purchase index funds. So let's run a couple hypotheticals. I'm gonna assume very conservatively an average return of 7% a year if you were to invest that $717 a month into the stock market. Over 10 years, your portfolio would be worth about $123,000. Over 20 years, about $523,000. In over 30 years, $1.5 million. Again, yes, you're probably not going to drive a car for an entire 30-year period, but the point is, by always having a car loan and always having to sink $700 or $1,000 into a depreciating asset, you're not investing that money and you are losing out on potentially over $1 million. So you've heard me now ramble on and point out all the various reasons as to why cars are just sucking money out of our finances. And naturally, that begs the question, why do we all still do it? The simple answer is, it's behavioral psychology. The biggest issue is that cars no longer get us from point A to point B. Instead, they are now used by society as this marker of success and status. Car manufacturers literally spend billions of dollars every single year convincing us that the car that we drive defines our success. You've probably seen the commercials, some real nice shiny SUV or brand new sports car pulling up to this mansion of a house, and everything about this is supposed to say success. Subtly, but that's what it's implying. And these ads are also designed to make you feel like you deserve a new car. You should treat yourself. Why not? You've worked hard, you're successful, get that brand new shiny car. And let's be very honest with ourselves. When we see our friends and family with a brand new car, it's a little bit of a nudge thinking, well, hey, I feel like I'm doing as well as them. Maybe I should get a new car too. But here's the problem. That subliminal messaging from the advertisers, coupled with how you're perceiving your neighbors and your friends with their cars, that gets you into a cycle, a huge pitfall of lifestyle creep. Because as your income goes up, you look at those around you, you think, hey, maybe I can afford this, maybe I want to tell other people I'm successful, maybe I want to keep up with the Joneses, so I'm gonna get a new car. So instead of maybe saving or investing that extra little bit of income, you're spending that money to keep up with the Joneses. And the real kicker is, you're financing all of it. That $700 a month car payment might seem like no problem. You just got a promotion, you just got a bonus. But then what happens when the economy pulls back a little bit? What happens when, hey, along with the nice car, maybe I need a nice house and a nice vacation. Oh boy, like these expenses are adding up and my income is not really keeping pace. And the next thing you know, you're one of the many Americans making over $100,000 a year, living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not hyperbole, it's fact. So what can we do about it, knowing everything we now know about cars? Well, I give you 4 things you could do right now. The very first one, this one is the most obvious, buy used, not new. After 5 years, the depreciation curve is not as drastic of a downhill and it levels out a little bit. And certified pre-owned is fine, especially if you're someone, you just want to buy new cars, not brand new, but you want another car. Buying at year 4, 5, or 6, you drive it for 5 or 6 years, you buy another one at year 4, 5, or 6, you're losing way less money. Your total cost of ownership from the depreciation is much, much, much lower. My second pointer, get rid of that loan fast. Either you have a large down payment, you're paying cash, or you're making extra payments towards the car. Get rid of the drag of financing that auto loan over 4, 5, I'm seeing 6, 7-year car notes. That's absolutely crazy. 3, shop for better rates. Saw it earlier in the examples of the BMW and the Honda. Second to depreciation is gonna be your insurance cost, and there's not a whole ton you can do about it. If auto insurance goes up, you either pay or you leave. My biggest recommendation, always be shopping for new rates for your auto insurance. Listen, loyalty, sadly today, does not pay. And so when rates go up, you don't like it, go find another insurer with the exact same coverage and compare. Are they gonna be cheaper? If yes, just make the switch. You can always switch back. And if you'd like to see some of the best rates in your area for car insurance, I have a link in the description box down below. Feel free to go ahead and check it out. And my 4th tip, keep your current car as long as possible. If you can ride it out to year 9, 10. Heck, I've had my 2011 Accord now coming up on 14 years, and she is still running. If you can do that, then you're winning the game. If you're getting a new car every 15 years instead of every 3, 4, or 5, you're going to come out ahead because all those factors you mentioned from a TCO perspective, especially that depreciation, gets drastically minimized. And that's the video, folks. This is why your car is the #1 wealth killer in your home. Hopefully you took something away from this. Hopefully you can take some action. If you have any comments, questions, drop it down below. Other than that, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.